Welcome to The Problem, a Lockwood & Co. podcast. I'm Caitlin.
I'm Alan.
And this week we're talking about part 3 of The Empty Grave, A Body in the Street. The part 3 of part 3.
Part 3 of part 3,
yes. Yeah. I was confused. Also, you put The Empty Grave at the top, and I don't think you normally put the name of the book, do you?
I just copy and paste last week's thing. It is weird that, like, just in case you forgot, Caitlin, we're reading the
We're reading this one. For a second, I was genuinely like, is that the name of the part? Because that would be interesting.
I had the same thing. I was like, wait, is it The Empty Grave, The Empty Grave?
The great thing is, for this episode, that nobody listening is going to know, except I'm going to tell them apparently, is that we've actually been chatting for an hour and just, like, got each other really riled up about completely unrelated things that we're angry about. So, who knows what this is going to be. Okay, chapter 15. I am open to chapter 14, so please just give me 1 second here.
Yeah, that's not what we're doing.
Okay, 15. Here we are.
Although, at the end of 14, we did have, like, George was all hurt, and Lockwood was like, hey, Lucy, don't go murder people.
Right.
I've got a plan.
Oh, recap, which I just told you I hate.
I hate those.
Chapter 15 is Lockwood & Co. break into the Orpheus Society to steal a book. And the chapter art is the Orpheus Society, but had I not previously read this book and knew what was going to happen, I would have no clue what this was. I would be like, yeah, pictures museum. On a poorly lit museum, yeah. And look, we're going to get into it, obviously, because that's what we do here. But I just want to say, I'm terribly disappointed in Jonathan Stroud that he didn't have them burn the building down.
Oh, man.
What a great bookend that would have been, right?
That's a great idea. Yeah, to the first one.
How did they not just start throwing, their little salt bombs, magnesium flares is what I'm coming up with, and just burn it? They're in a room full of books. Burn them. I mean, that sounded terrible. Maybe don't quote me on that. They
kind of do.
I know, but I really just wanted fire, and I don't know. It feels like maybe when I was reading The Spirit of Lucy possessed me, but the spirit of George possessed Stroud, so he couldn't destroy the books.
He'd like held back.
Yeah, but I mean,
I'm sure he loves books. He's a writer, so.
I mean, I love books, but we could burn them. These fictional ones, not. I'm not saying let's burn books. Okay, before I dig my hole any deeper, let's actually get into this.
I think this picture is so funny, though. Like, it's well done. It's really like a perspective shot down a long hallway, which is always impressive to me. Like, I can't imagine doing that, let alone the way that she does, like the scratching away the clay thing. I've
been in a class where I learned how to do that, and I still cannot do it. So.
It's so hard. It's so
perspective
hard.
Sucks.
But it's really funny to me that in the Orpheus Society, it seems to me, and I guess we'll talk about it when we get to it, that they have just a shitload of, like, busts and portraits of the people who are part of the club. Yep. Like, that's what all of the art is. It's art of them.
And the thing is, they've only been around for like 50 years.
Yeah.
So it's not like this is our Roman founder. We still have his No, they had that commission 10 years ago.
Yeah, exactly.
These people are all still alive and there. Probably. Maybe some of them are dead.
Yeah. There's Fairfax. God rest his soul.
Yeah, but we went to the funeral last week. Got a bus.
It's crazy.
It's so weird. It does feel very much like the building is saying the words, "We've got money to throw away."
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know why the artist didn't choose to draw our cast on top of a building looking like cat burglars,
Yeah.
Like, why didn't we get them? A, I think that fits the chapter more. And B, I'm like, I want to see deformed Kips with his goggles on. I want to. What about Lockwood looking pensive over the city as he stares off into the middle distance? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so we start with Lucy saying Lockwood's plan sounded good. I was in. How we're going to do this, I don't know. Oh, but it's okay. Lockwood's already on it, and he only told Kips.
Yeah, he's been plotting ever since George got hurt, which is great. I love that.
It makes sense because he was at the hospital for so long, and I don't know if you've ever been in an emergency waiting room. They fucking suck.
Yeah, there's nothing to do but plot the demise of your enemies. So He's been Monte Cristi. I can't think of how to say that. Count of Monte Cristi. How could I not say this?
The Count of Monte, isn't it?
Monte Cristo.
Yeah, nothing sounds right
guy.
Now. You know what? It's French.
Yeah. Ugh. Screw that guy. Alex Dumas. Yeah, but he's been plotting the demise of his enemies ever since, George got hurt. Which I love
fair,
that for
I
Lockwood.
think the Count of Monte Cristo was like 30 years. This is 2 days.
Well, his plan was far more intricate, to be fair.
That's true.
Than Lockwood. Yeah, Kipps shows up. He's got all the accoutrements to keep it French. He's got balaclavas and black gloves, and he cleaned them out.
All right. So if you had to buy all these things, where would you go?
There's like a hunting store or something like that around here.
American. Yeah, I forgot.
Yeah.
I would go to a ski shop.
Yeah, we don't have. Iowa's pretty flat. There's not a lot of that around here.
Cross country skiing is a thing.
I guess that's true.
I don't know that there's like ski resorts for it, but
But if I went, they would be like bright orange because I went to a hunting store. You know what I mean?
Yeah. See, this really seems to imply that Kipps went to a burglary supply store.
Right. Yeah.
I'm like, I don't think that that's how that works. If anything, you would probably go to a costume shop, actually, now that I really think about it.
I wonder if that's a thing in this London. Do people get dressed up for Halloween?
No, probably not, because it's not really as big in England as it is here.
Oh, really? I didn't even know that.
No, not at all.
The only reason, therefore, that's right. How I know that it's a thing. Yeah.
The only reason it's big-ish at all, I think, in England is because of American media.
Okay.
And kids seeing Halloween movies and wanting to trick or treat.
We want to do that. Yeah. I do like how Lockwood's like, here's the plan. And Holly and Kipps are like, yeah, let's do it.
Yep.
Like they've evolved to the point where like neither of them are being like, but the rules, Lockwood. They're like, yeah, give me my hat. Let's go.
There's a bit where Holly says, if you don't start filling us in, there's going to be some roughing up going on right now. If you don't start filling us in, no ifs or buts, please. And I'm like, somebody needed to do that to him in book 1.
Yeah, for real. Yeah.
Oh, and immediately after that, there's a weird paragraph. And I'm pointing this paragraph out because we're nitpicking. It is super not important. Where Stroud writes, a fly on the wall, lured perhaps by the prospect of one of Holly's cakes, wouldn't have at first noticed, blah, blah, blah. And then it says, but, why this was so different from one of their other meetings. And then she says, well, there weren't any cakes for starters, because it seemed wrong to have them without George. And I'm like, but the fly was lured there because of the cakes.
Yeah. Is it a hypothetical fly? Is it a hypothetical
cake? What? The fly is definitely hypothetical, but why say lured there for the cakes when you are immediately going to say there are no cakes?
Yeah.
It just bothers me. No tea also. That's wrong.
It shows how work mode Lockwood is. I think that's what.
No, I get what he's going for there. And really, this is probably just a weird typo that nobody caught. Or not a typo, but just. It doesn't matter at all, but it is weird.
Yeah, because a fly on the wall is a euphemistic saying for a general observer, right? Like an unobserved
or an
observer.
Eavesdropper, yeah.
Yeah.
Or somebody wanting to be an eavesdropper. But so yeah, you didn't even need to include that bit about lured by Holly's cakes. You could have just said a fly on the wall. Wouldn't have at first noticed.
It's weirdly playful, but then undermines in itself and turns it inside out. It's weird. I noticed that too.
I don't like it. Anyways, we start seeing pictures, or Kipps pulls out photos that he's taken of a building with some old people in front of it throughout the day. And it becomes clear that he has been spying on the Orpheus Society and taking pictures of them as they come and go.
Yep. The one guy we already met in a previous book who's the secretary of the Orpheus Society. Mm-hmm. That was one of the pictures. And so this is how we're being introduced to the idea of the plan. at this point and is like, this is a picture of the Orpheus Society people. And he's like, yep. And then we explain what the Orpheus Society is and how it's connected to Penelope.
And we're reminded that George said that they had one copy of the book that George has been trying to get.
Right. And so this is what Lockwood's plan is. We're going to get the book that George needed because George he can't get it. So.
And then everybody is criticizing Kipps's research because it's not George's research, which would have had proper floor plans and timetables and everything.
Dossiers on all the members.
And I love that she says, if George was here, and like, he's not dead, he's upstairs. Like, and I get that he can't help already. Like, I get that that's the point, but also the way she says it, it's like, it's like he is here. I don't know. It just sounds weird. I get that's very nitpicky of me.
No, I like that how Kipps is defensive too, though. He's like, you don't understand how hard it is to pretend like you're doing one thing and then do another. Like he has some private investigator like gripes about the job kind of stuff.
I do love this idea of him in like painter coveralls with a roller in his hand.
Yeah. Trying to snap some pictures. They're like, what is this even a picture of?
One of those tiny cameras on a wristband, that you see in old stupid movies.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure at the beginning when he came in, he said something like, it's doable. We'll just have to climb a staircase. And we see them climb 2 ropes and all this stuff.
Oh, the way they get it's so complicated. Yeah.
So like, I think you lied a little bit there, Kipps, but whatevs.
It's how he would do it. But Lockwood's like, no.
Yeah, we're not going in the back door.
Ninja style.
We're going in from the roof.
But speaking of George, it's being here and stuff. They're like, what are we going to do with George? Like, is he going to come along so that he can identify the book? And Lockwood's like, no. Flo's here. It's going to be okay. And then it says, at that moment, a raucous and indescribable sound came from upstairs. I'd never heard the noise of a hyena being ritually disemboweled, but chances are this was less attractive. We drew apart in shock. I think that's Flo laughing, Lockwood whispered. She must be trying to cheer George up. Dear God, what a day.
Oh, so it's kind of mean, though.
I really like that part. It's pretty mean, but it's like crazy how mean it is. It's so like over the top that I enjoy it.
I guess I find it so mean to comment on a person's laugh because it's not controllable at all.
Yeah.
And it's just one of those things that really gets me. So while I'm sure other people found it funny, it just like hit a particular chord in me. Anyways, moving on. Not to call you mean. I'm happy that you liked it. Now I've made it awkward.
I'm super mean. I'd love to make fun of people behind their back.
That makes so much sense. It doesn't. They head to the district of St. James, where the Orpheus Society is, and it is very obviously the rich people district.
This is where Lockwood has his Batman moment.
Yep.
As I think of it.
Immediately interrupted by Skull.
It's so good.
And like
the meta commentary.
We know that Lockwood can kind of feel when Skull speaks, so I like to think there was like an annoying buzzing in his ear.
Yeah, he's like looking out over the city and like the wind is like pushing back his coat and his hair, and Lucy's admiring him, and
his hand rested on his rapier. He looked pensive, as if he were gazing into the future and finding something sad. It made my heart hurt to see him. He is such a poser, says Skull.
It's so good. It's like the perfect undercutting.
Yeah, it's great. He's just doing that for effect. There's no real reason for him to be up there. But we're not even going in that direction.
I love the idea that he's looking into the wind for the effect. And it's like the other way. That's really good.
The great thing is, I absolutely believe that of Lockwood.
Yeah.
The spirit of book 1 and 2 Lockwood possessed him. And he was like, ooh, a pose. Yep. Too bad Lucy doesn't have a camera. Anyway.
It's my city. I must defend her. Yeah, it's pretty good. And it's nice that Skull is on the mission too. Like, we don't really need Skull. We're not going into like
he's
a supernatural...
literally just here for laughs. I love
that's
it.
all he's doing, which is perfect.
Yeah.
To do that. But yeah, they go from, I think the plan is that they're going to go from rooftop to rooftop, basically, to get there. So they're not seen on the streets.
I guess.
And they can go over their fence and stuff, I guess.
Sure. They put their masks on, they get there. I think it's like 2 houses down, so it's not too many rooftops. Not that, like, going from one rooftop to another is too many.
Yeah.
Let me make that clear. Like, I would never. I'd be like, no, I can die. It's fine.
The adventure is over.
Marissa can take my soul. I'm cool with it.
Oh, there's this funny moment where Kips is like, should I wear the goggles on the outside or the inside of the mask? What do you... I like that. It's pretty good.
On top for sure. Otherwise, you'll look more than usually deformed.
Yeah. Which Holly says that.
I know.
It's so mean.
It's kind of like she felt George needed a presence.
Yeah.
You know?
It's good.
And she accepted that burden upon herself to never let Kips rest.
To never let him feel on the inside.
Yeah.
That really feels like they're both part of the team with that whole thing to me. It's really good.
Well, there's also a bit on the previous, I don't know, that we skipped over, where Lucy refers to Kips as being his advanced age of 22.
Of 22, yeah.
And on one hand, hilarious. I'm sure a lot of parents reading the book to the kids had a chuckle. But also, can you imagine being 22 and having to hang out with a bunch of 16 to 18-year-olds? Like,
oh, yeah.
God. No, thank
Terrible.
you. And all the time they're saying shit like this to you.
Right, yeah. They're just relentlessly making fun of you.
Yeah. You know Fitz is bad when it drives Kips to this.
Well, yeah. And it's the only time he's ever really felt like himself, which is really sad. They go from rooftop to rooftop. They're all masked up. And then Lockwood kind of like rappels down the side of the building or something, it seems like. And we hear like the sound of breaking glass, and Skull is like, I bet he fell into a greenhouse and he's dead. So just Skull
he
just
doesn't
does
say
this
dead, but
thing.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's great. As though falling into a greenhouse wouldn't have a large shattering, not a small little...
Right. Because all he did was break in like a window so that he could open it. Like a window pane. But yeah, they get in. Lucy follows him down and he pulls her into the window, and they all get into the Orpheus Society successfully. And there's nobody in the room. Yeah. It feels like there's a lot of like show don't tell wealth stuff going on. There's everything's very, very nice. There's lots of like, old hardwood furniture and paintings all over the place, plush carpets.
And then eventually they find a room with a bunch of robe-looking things, all being stored in a way that, like, when Holly first glances in, she thinks it's people. So they're being hung in a specific type of way there. And they're, like, really fine metal.
Yeah, like chainmail cloaks.
Yes, chainmail, yeah. But but very thin and light.
These are silver, and they seem to be the exact same thing as the spirit cloaks.
Yeah. And there's a bunch of goggles, like the goggles Kips has. And we can surmise from this that a whole bunch of people have been going back and forth from the other side.
Right, yeah. This is like kit for their excursions.
Which is wild to me, because doesn't the other side make you age?
Older, yeah. Yeah, so I was thinking that. Are these people really all very old?
Yeah.
And or are they like in their 30s?
What is it that they want from the other side? Because I don't think Marissa would let them, or would tell them that she's Marissa, and what she's done. So they must still just be trying to get there, or to figure out something like it. Like, I don't even know if they have a goal in mind. So why would they be going?
Yeah, I don't think they know about any of what Marissa is actually doing. I think they have been presented with like, here is the problem.
Yeah.
And then like, I think they do understand the relationship between stirring things up and like we get more power and money from that. I think they do know about that. But I think they're just trying to research.
Yeah, that makes sense. But I guess I could only see one or two people being that into the research. Mm-hmm. Not all of them.
Yeah, I think it's about like exclusive, like only they know about
like
the
going
other
on
side.
safari in the 1920s or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay. That makes sense. Well, you know what I mean.
It doesn't make sense, but yeah, it's a status thing to them. I was wondering, like, so these cloaks are just silver. Wouldn't it be like really cold? Like, I feel like the feathers really make a difference with the other cloaks, or some of the cloaks have fur too. And I feel like it has an actual function that the silver would not help you stay warm. That like that insulating layer.
You put it on over your clothes, dude. You can bundle up.
Oh, okay.
It's not touching your
actually
skin.
Did not think of that, to be honest with you.
They didn't strip to put on their cloaks.
Yeah.
That would be a different book.
I didn't think about that. But yeah, you're probably right. You'd like bundle up and then put it on. Yeah.
Unless it was like July and you were like, oh, the coldness of death, come to me.
It's nice. They make their way further into the building and they're just like trying to find a library, right? Eventually they stumble on where the books are. Yes,
bunch of books. And then, so most of the books are bound in black leather with the Orpheus harp imprinted on the front. They also have the name of the author embossed on the spine and had been arranged alphabetically. And then she says, but since the author of the occult theories was officially anonymous, that didn't help much, except it does. You file anonymous under A.
Right, that's what I thought. Like right at the beginning,
I have literally done that in a bookstore. You put it under A.
So the other thing that I thought was maybe they put it under F because they know who wrote it.
Yeah, great. 2 options. Real quick. Right. In and out.
Yeah.
They wouldn't put it somewhere random because then they wouldn't be able to find it.
Yeah, the real thing you would have to do is find the like index or card system or whatever. That's how a library works.
We see them do that in the show in the Fitz library.
Right.
I don't remember if it happened in the book.
Maybe. Yeah, I can't remember. I think George just knew because he was with them.
Yeah, they were all spread out though. And it was
he was
2
like,
levels,
we got to break up and figure this out.
Yeah, I don't remember. Which, to be fair, somebody does bring up George because they say he would have loved this, or Lucy says he would have loved this room. So many weird books. And then she says, look at this one, Dark London, an interim cartography. And I have to presume that Stroud put that there to tease me in particular.
Oh, I noted this down too. I was like, read that book.
Yes, take it. Put it in your pocket. What are you
this
talking
is so
about?
Handy.
That is obviously a map to the other side.
Right.
Take it.
Yeah.
Can you imagine if she tells George about this later?
He's like, where is it? She's like, oh, we burned it. What?
Or just, oh, I put it back. Which is even worse, really.
Yeah.
But then while everybody is saying that they should leave because they've got what they need, that is when Lockwood finds a pamphlet about his parents' lecture that they gave at the Orpheus Society. And pretty much at that same time, Skull is like, I hear noises.
Yeah. Before that, he's like, everything is quiet. Too quiet. And then
he had to have his own Batman moment.
Yeah. And then he's like, I hear noises. This feels very Orphic to me, what Lockwood does. Mm-hmm. Like, they go in to get the thing. I mean, we're in the Orpheus Society.
Right.
And we go in to get the thing. We get the thing. All right, we did it. Let's go out. And then he looks back.
Yeah.
And he looks back at, like, his dead loved ones. And it ruins the escape, but actually, like, it doesn't ruin anything because this is like one of my favorite things in the series. So I'm glad
the fight that's about to happen.
It's so awesome. I love it so much.
Well, as I said, I like it, but they should just burn the place down.
100%. I mean, that would be even better.
Yeah.
To have done. I feel like we talked about this before, like, should people have died in this book? And I feel like the fact that like they walk out of here and they're like, no, they're all breathing. Like they clearly died. I don't know.
Maybe
like, they killed these people.
Right. No, but you have to interpret that as Lucy being like, no, they are all breathing.
They're fine. Yeah.
They're fine. Let's go.
But anyway, yeah, we're about to get out, but Lockwood sees the name Lockwood on one of the spines and grabs this thing and starts reading it, and he kind of like shuts down. He emotionally like freezes, and they're like, we gotta go, dude, come on.
But obviously we need to have the fight, so he doesn't. They're trapped. Chapter 16 time.
The door like explodes and some kind of mechanical horror walks in. And then chapter 16, where the Orpheus Society and Lockwood and Co. battle each other. And later, Lockwood uncovers the truth about the death of his parents.
And, okay, so the chapter art is obviously parts of the...
It's Freddy Krueger.
Well, yeah. Of, like, all the weird machinery and, like, armor that they have. But it's all lying on the floor with some rubble, which now that I finished the chapter, obviously, it's the end. But when I first looked at this, I was like, I have no idea what the choices here were.
Yeah, this is like the aftermath of the battle. Yeah.
But I'm like, but he's on stilts. Why is this on the ground? Why have they put the harpoon down? I was like, what is happening here? Did you just make a fun collage? I don't know. But yeah.
The rubble is what makes it work a little bit.
I didn't take that in at first, you know?
Yeah.
But at the end of the chapter, it does all make sense. So there we go.
Yeah, I say Freddy Krueger because there's like a weird glove thing that has knives coming out of it. And there's just different, we'll talk about all the crazy weapons.
You know, I've never actually seen Freddy Krueger.
Oh, okay. Well, that's...
I mean, I know what
exactly
happens.
That.
I know what happens.
It's exactly that.
Just never seen it because I value my sleep.
I saw those when they were coming out and it was, I couldn't sleep. It's literally about not being able to sleep.
Exactly. I think I wanted to watch it when it came out, but I was 5, so nobody let me.
So scary.
And that is one of the only good choices that adults around me made. In regards to movies, anyways.
My mom was like, you'll love this. It's great. We watched it together. I was like, oh.
When I tell my mom that she let me watch the 1990 miniseries of It that aired on TV, she doesn't believe me. And I'm like, well, you did. And now
I watched that with my mom too.
I can't stand clowns now. So
yeah, it's
your
so
fault.
Scary. My mom's a big nut for horror stuff. That's probably why I like these books. Because they're like a kid version of it. There's something nostalgic about it to me. I feel like Jonathan Stroud and I were reading or watching the same kind of like we grew up at the same time. So
that makes sense.
Anyway. Okay. I don't have a lot of
no, it's an action chapter, right? So there's not many notes.
Right. He like kicks in the door and it's crazy, right? Like if you like the first time that I read this, I was like, what is happening? It's like it's like a house full of old people is what I thought. Yeah. And then this like mecha suit thing comes in.
We should have said in the previous chapter when they're talking about whether or not they're going to be able to handle it if they run into anybody. Kipps and Locke would say like over and over, yeah, it's just going to be an old person. And Lucy, I think at one point thinks, yeah, I can punch an old person. You know?
Right.
So they're just
no big
expecting like frail elderly people. And then this dude comes in this mechanical suit with knives for fingers. And like somebody comes in with an electric gun.
Shoots light. I mean, it's a proton pack, right? Like basically, it's insane.
It's intense. And at first, they are very scared, the kids, and like I don't know how, and confused until they start to recognize the old people that like the mech suit is the secretary. Can you imagine?
Right.
And I have to assume that he just spends his nights patrolling the hallways in this suit because it makes him feel powerful.
I think that's right. Like,
I don't even think I can blame him for that. Because if that suit was around and I was alone in a building with it, I'd be like, yeah, I'm putting on the knife hands. You know,
It's
obviously.
Like, why is he wearing this? I think it's because he always wears it at night.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's so weird.
And then when some people question him about it, he's like, "Look, I'm here for security. I'm going to secure I'm secure. It's secure. We're secure."
Yeah.
And then they're
Can you
like,
imagine how happy he is that they're here and like
right?
he's finally
He gets to use his toys.
Yeah.
I think we just changed sides.
It's I don't know. This is such a cool move by Stroud to be like, oh, they're like it's a house full of old people. Who cares? It's not going to be a threat. And then it's like they fell into like a steampunk novel.
Yep.
And they're like, what is happening?
Also, eventually, like he walks in this scary ass suit and then starts yelling, "Thieves! Thieves in the research library!"
And the other people in the Orpheus Society,
hit the alarm button on his suit.
Yeah, the other Orpheus Society guy is like, "Get out of the way, you old fool!" Like they're calling each other old.
Yep. I have to assume like other people heard him yell and like hit that pole, to like fireman style.
They're like,
get our suits
down.
on. Everyone's ready to go.
Pick up your favorite weapon.
Yeah. And at one point when they're looking at them, one of them recognizes that they're agents / children because they're wearing their rapiers, which was so stupid. Why would
they have a bunch of their kit? They have their
having
like,
the magnesium flares and salt bombs. That all makes sense, but why would you wear your rapier? Like, put one in your bag if you need it, like just in case you run into a ghost. That literally says, "I'm an agent. Ask me how."
Right. Unless the plan is to like, oh, we're getting cornered, stab him to death. But again, that would tell the police who did this, that, agents broke in
and would
did
imply
this.
like intent, like that they went in there ready to murder, and you can go to jail for that.
Yeah. They corner the kids. They're like, "Tell us who you are," like you're saying. There's a guy with a harpoon gun. He's like, "They're agents. They're children." And they're like, "Throw down your swords and we'll let you live." And it's like obvious that that's not true. They're going to kill these kids. And so Lockwood's like, "Yeah, listen, you're elderly and perhaps a little slow. If it isn't clear enough, I can put it another way for you. Get your shriveled backsides out of here sharpish while you can, or face the consequences." It's pretty simple.
And
so
basically
we're going to murder these people.
Yeah, the bad guys also let slip that they care about not destroying the books. And George isn't there, so Lockwood & Co. does not care about destroying the books.
They're like, "Oh, this is your weak spot."
And they do indeed just start throwing flares and bombs, basically. Ample or great opportunity to have burned the place down, but I digress.
There's a way in which this fight is the whole story. You know what I mean?
Like the end of the book?
No, like it's kids versus adults.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yes.
The
and
rich and the poor, and
yep.
Like this is the real conflict.
Something that I don't think we ever really brought up is that there's something to be said about, you know what? It occurs to me later when we're reading the pamphlet, but I've started now. So, but that's where I wrote it down. That's why I was like, anyways, in the previous book with the spirit capes, and later when we read the pamphlet, there's something about these like cozy, naturally made capes by these indigenous people being taken over by these industrialists, or not by being copied by these industrialists who make them out of metal.
Mm-hmm.
And especially when Rotwell did it, because he just made himself like a clunky iron suit that was difficult to move in. And like it did the job, but it wasn't good. And I don't know, I think there's something there too about Western industrialism and, indigenous tribes and stuff. Indigenous nations.
There's even something I think in this fight that is like the Lockwood & Co. kids are using more archaic weapons even. Mm-hmm. And they're like better even in this fight. Like the weapons against each other, like the swords are better than these like weird lightning throwing, harpoon, knife hand, bizarre weapons that the Orpheus people have.
Lucy does pick up the lightning gun.
Yeah, that does become like a finisher for a lot of these
is a little badass about it. Man, that would have been great to see in a TV show. I bet the actress would have loved that. Getting to
Ruby
shoot people
Stokes.
with lightning.
Yeah, she'd be like, give her a proton pack. Can you imagine? Like, oh man.
That would have been great.
It would be so cool. One of the lines here that is like underlined hundreds and hundreds of times. Basically the old people are like, charge. And then it says, few non-spectral situations are as fearsome as being cornered by a deranged senior on stilts with his 10 steak knife fingers clawing in your direction. So it's like there's something ridiculous about the fight that's just like crazy, but I don't know. I love it so much.
And I love Skull jumping in with like, these old geezers are completely mad. I gotta say, I like them.
He's so into it. He's like...
And then a little while later, he's like, they're totally insane. But you can tell that he's happy about it.
Right. Not derogatory.
Yeah, not derogatory.
Enthusiastic. Yeah.
And then, what's the other one? Oh, this is great. You're just as bad as them. Worse, in fact. They don't know what's hit them. Like, he's just like, chaos. I love the chaos.
Yeah, the fight gets out of hand pretty quick because even the Orpheus Society like stops caring about keeping the book safe. They're just trying to win. And
Lockwood and Co. are, of course, eventually victorious. And I believe, like, people fall downstairs. I swear, in my head, I picture one of them hanging from the chandelier. Oh, yeah. The chandelier and its occupant swung steadily, Yeah, she blows the lady. She takes that proton pack thing. She blows her through a wall and then out over the stairs and onto the chandelier. So, and then they're like, don't worry, she's alive. And I'm like, she's not alive. Maybe she's alive, but she's, like, paralyzed, you know?
Yeah.
You know, like, nothing good is happening with that lady.
It's like Batman, like, I don't kill people. It's like, he'll never walk again. You know, like, what are you doing? But yeah, I do kind of feel like really they put on this place up.
The Lockwood and Co. put on their black masks, and then we're like, we're all Batman now.
It's really insane.
So once they are victorious, Holly has a moment where she's like, can we go now, please? Which I love, because she was just as into the violence as well. I don't say into, like she was enjoying it, but she was causing violence too.
But it's clearly over. Like they have their moment. They can get away now.
Yeah. So. But Lockwood says, definitely, but first we need to pay another visit to the storeroom. So they steal some cloaks and presumably goggles and everything too.
Other, supplies, ghost busting stuff.
Which is smart. They sneak off back to Portland Row and go in the back door because the front is being watched. But I've always pictured the back being walled off, so they would have to get to the back from the front anyway. Like, I don't know. It doesn't make sense unless they're climbing over.
There's a wall. And they're like, that'll be sneakier to jump the wall. No one will notice that.
I guess they were like jumping the whole block of back gardens.
Seems suspicious.
It seems useless. Why not just scope out if anybody was watching the front door? And then, as Holly says here, when Lockwood says check the front, no one's there, so just walk in.
It's your house.
Yeah.
Like
sometimes you're out late dealing with ghosts.
Right.
Whatevs.
Just call Vin Diesel to drop you off. Like, I don't know what the deal.
See,
it was a little weird.
When you brought up jumping over the back fences, that at least makes a little bit more sense than what I was thinking, where they went to the front and then just went down the side of the house to the back and came in the back. And I was like, but you were there.
That would really make no sense.
What are you talking about?
Yeah, they dump all the bandit clothing and they're like, we got to burn it or something.
Yeah.
And then they're like, did we get recognized? What do you guys think? And they're like, nah, I think we pulled it off.
Well,
but
I mean, they
Lockwood
say,
is sure that they're going to know who did this.
Yeah,
and they're going to figure out why.
There's really only one suspect.
Right.
Well, 4, but...
He says, this feels almost meta to me because they're like, it's only a matter of time. And Lucy's like, before what? And Lockwood smiled at me, before the end. And, like we have the last book in our hand.
Yeah.
It's like the end of the book. But it does make me think, like, does he mean like, and then I'll get to go be with my family in the grave? You know what I mean? Like the end.
Yeah.
Is this like the death wish, like rearing its head a little bit, where he's like, I've painted myself in the corner. There's nowhere to go.
That is what it kind of feels like.
I think it is that a little bit.
I think Lucy just thinks, to the showdown, or to solving the problem.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think that's... Yeah, but I think Lockwood is more on what you said.
And he's got a smile on his face while he's saying it. So he's his journey is not complete, if that makes sense. Like this is... Do
you think Lockwood has a turn in this book?
Yeah, I do.
When do you think it is?
Comes out a different guy. I think that the beginning of it is here when he reads the pamphlet and there's no longer like, my parents died because of a random accident that has no meaning, but that my parents were killed as part of a conspiracy by the Fitz organization to cover up the truth, that they were going to save London, or like, expose the truth and cause the problem to come to an end, but instead they were killed for that.
So it's kind of like he was given a legacy that he has to finish their work.
Right.
Instead of survive until he can be back with them. Or not survive, but you know what I mean? Like, just keep living until he can be back with them.
Yeah. There's a reason that everything happens, and it gives his life a different meaning.
And
purpose. Yeah.
Okay.
And I think that shows him that life can have a purpose and that you can build something. And I think that takes him into the future.
Yeah, I mean, agree.
Obviously he breaks up with Lucy and gets with Kipps, but like that's, another book.
Can you imagine?
I'm sure that fic is out there.
100%.
I would read it.
Yeah, no, I think it's true. It also that it does start with the pamphlet here, and that he realizes how close they were, and how none of this needed to happen. If they'd lived, like Jessica would still be alive, and so many other people. Yeah.
And it's also like directly because of the Orpheus Society as well, right? Because they were going to give a public speech where they presented information about the spirit houses and how those work, and how the shamans understood that crossing over to the other side stirred up ghosts. And basically their research was like, what if somebody here is stirring up ghosts and we don't like understand, that this is a problem, and like it's right under our nose kind of a situation. Like they hadn't put it all together yet.
Yeah.
But they're right on the edge.
It makes me sad that George never got to know them, because he really liked them. That'd be great.
He would have gotten to the conclusion so much more quickly.
I just kept talking while I hit my mic, so my apologies to anybody who had to hear that.
But they tell all of that to the Orpheus Society first.
Yeah.
Before they're going to give their public speech. And of course, these are the totally wrong people to tell this to, because they're like, oh, they know the truth, so we have to kill them. And that's why Lockwood froze in the library.
Yes, because the pamphlet had the date of when they gave their talk, which was 2 days before their quote-unquote accident. Right.
I think he tries to apologize for that. He's like, I completely shut down. That's not okay.
Yeah, he does.
They and that's like ridiculous. Like Lockwood, come on.
Well, I actually kind of like that, because he did put everyone in danger by doing that. And it's not like it's not his fault and I don't blame him, but I think it's good that he acknowledged it, because he didn't need to stay. Like, he took the pamphlet with him. It's not like he needed to read it while he was there.
Yeah, it's good to take responsibility. That's true.
So I get that it's not, it doesn't feel wrong that it happened, but it does also feel good that he acknowledged that he could have kept himself together a bit better.
Yeah. It makes me think of the show and how he shut down in the auction episode.
Yeah.
And how it feels like they were really building that in to have a moment like this later too.
Yeah.
To show like that's like a thing that he does with his anxiety and stuff. It would have been cool to see that arc.
Yeah. I agree. That would have been good. But Netflix, man. Yeah, so then we get to read a bit of the pamphlet that basically just says what Alan summarized already.
I do like, this is also the part where you were saying that like the indigenous people are doing it better than the industrialized, like quote unquote enlightened people.
Yeah, and they're so much more in sync with it, and they don't seem to have a problem.
Right. Yeah. And I feel like they're also not trying to cheat death. They're like being so careful and keeping their community safe, and maybe even guiding spirits that, like the type 2s that seem to have like some kind of embitterment or unfinished business. Maybe they're like helping them cross over somehow even. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, we don't know
they're making things safer.
Where the Lockwood's research could have gone. There is a line in the pamphlet that says, "We all know that the epidemic of visitors that Britain endures is mysterious and worsening without apparent solution," which does imply that indeed the problem has only affected Britain.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I do think, I think I've argued this on Twitter before too, that the Orpheus Society kind of shows me that Penelope could spread the problem globally very easily, and people would be alienated from what they're causing to happen. Like, I don't think the Orpheus Society quite understands how they've been used to get what Penelope wants, which is how capitalism works. Like, it alienates you from the process of your work.
Yeah.
So like the actual workers are highly specialized, just doing one particular thing, and you're not like looking at the whole process necessarily. And so you're not seeing like, you're just adding a chip to, a thing, and you're not seeing the finished cell phone, but you're also not seeing like where the metal came from that goes into those chips, or where they're going to end up in a landfill, or like, like you're alienated from the whole process. And so it's not impossible to like create more ghost busting business globally by like teaching people how to go to the other side and like stir up ghosts. I think it is also very easy.
It is also a great image of these rich people who think they're at the top and are getting one over on the people below them, but still don't realize that the person above them is not sharing all the information either.
Yeah.
Right? Because she has cracked the immortality, and I don't think they know that.
No, I think we actually like literally say that at some point in this book.
Oh, okay, great.
I have a memory of that.
But they don't seem, or from what we see, there might be people in there who do hate her, but they don't seem to suspect anything.
Yeah, they're like, we're the great leader. We're like right on the edge of understanding. Yeah.
Meanwhile, she's using them as much as they're using the people beneath them.
100%. Yeah, they're her tool. Completely.
And they don't seem to realize it.
Yeah, I think she could do this in other places pretty easily and spread the problem globally. And I think that's probably even the game plan eventually.
Yeah. Just to finish out the chapter here, Lockwood lets Lucy read the pamphlet, and then he explains about the date and when his parents died. And he has this moment where he's like, "I don't think that, Lucy. I know."
It's very Batman again.
Yeah. And that's the end of the chapter, and I assume they go make out after that.
It's and then you turn the page. I find this like it's really effective, I think, to me. Like I love the line. I'm not making fun of it. Like, I don't think that, Lucy. I know. And then you turn the page and it's Part 4, the siege of Portland Row, and you're like, oh, portentous. It's all so like, oh, we're building and building and building. So just the pace of the book is really like, it's going down the hill for me. Like, it's great.
I'm ready for the end, you know? Not that I'm saying I want this podcast to finally be done.
I'm
but you know
tired
what I mean.
of talking to you. Yeah. That's how I feel about it.
It's not like we talked for an hour before we started recording.
We've got nothing to say to each other. But yeah, we're obviously this is the end of this part. So is it the skull jokes? What's the jokes?
Oh, 100% for me. It was these old
skull
people
jokes.
Are crazy. I like them. And it's just the fact that he was brought along, like he added nothing. You know, he was just there for comedic
really
relief. A+ skull content.
Yeah. I love when Lucy gets into murder mode. That's pretty fun.
Yep.
I caught her with a bolt of electricity that sent her through the banisters and out over the stairwell to land on a chandelier. There she swung, senseless and dangling, in a mess of crystal shards and smoking tweed. Like, that's crazy.
Amazing.
Calm down, Lucy. How many people have you killed now? Where will it end?
I love the idea. How I picture the future going after these books is like Lockwood & Co. really being in charge of closing up everything on the other side and making everything good. And I don't know. I just love that evolution of I like to murder to...
Some people need murdering, you know?
Helping death along in a different way.
There is, I think my actual favorite funny thing that's in here is Kipps gets attacked by, there's all these crazy weapons, right?
Right.
The harpoon, the weird stilts mech suit thing. But Kipps gets attacked by one of the people and they shoot this like gun that shoots out these like glass balls. And then it like breaks near his head on the wall and it's just lavender water.
Yes.
He's like, that's the wimpiest weapon I've ever seen. I just really, really love that.
But then Lucy pulls him away and like you see smoke coming off where it landed. She's like, I think there was some acid in there too, you idiot.
It's actually, balls of acid.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
So it's
These people are deranged.
It's just a great sequence of events there. He's just like, lavender water? I'm not a ghost. What are you doing?
Yeah. Are you made of things that can be melted with acid, though?
Yeah.
Yes.
Him not even noticing. Great.
It's pretty crazy. The chapter is nuts.
It's really too bad that we don't get to see this on a TV show.
Oh, I mean, he would have. Yeah, this would have been his thing.
This would have been
like
so good.
Yeah. I mean, the whole thing is very punk rock. I think I said last time, this is the most punk rock thing in these books, I think. To break into the Orpheus Society, burn down their library, and like kill 3 or 4 of them and then go home is crazy. It's so punk rock.
Yeah. It's great. I love it. Everything was good. Except for those weird little nitpicks that I brought up, but that's just me.
Yeah. Well, we got to do a show. We have to have something to.
Yeah, it can't just be us
about.
laughing the whole time.
Yeah.
Although I do think that's kind of what this was. All right, so I have weird news. The weird news is I got a new phone and I did not install Twitter on it. So you can still contact the show on Twitter, but Alan is going to have to show me screenshots.
You won't get the 2-headed responses from us.
Yeah, oh, that's sad, but I just don't want to.
It's bad out there. It's a quagmire.
Yeah.
I mean, not the Lockwood & Co. part, but...
No, obviously. I will miss that, but it upsets me to have to sign into Twitter again.
Yeah.
But you can find me on Blue Sky at Inferior Caitlin over there.
And you can still send your emails to us, contact@Hologram Media. You can go to the homepage, hologrammedia.com, and you could fill out the contact form if you want to drop us a message.
And remember to always steal your enemy's lightning gun and use it on them. I know we just hit record, but like to bring both conversations together, or like all three conversations together. I always think that what we should do as a podcast after this is about video games, but we'd have to figure out a way to have a conversation while not having to play the same video game, because I don't want to do that, right?
You were to like do a beat by beat of a video game sounds terrible.
Not just that, terrible. Like some people like say next week we're going to play this, and they come back and they talk about what they liked and blah, 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 blah. And that's fine, except if you tell me what to play, I just won't.
Yeah, I won't play it. Yeah.
Anyways.
I would have such a hard time with that.
Yeah.
No, but what you're saying is interesting. I don't know what kind of show that is.
I don't know what kind of show that would be either if we just like sit around and talk video games but don't have any particular...
An agenda.
Yeah. We'd have to come up with something, not just show up one day and be like, well, let's hit record, see what happens, because that sounds
We would definitely both be playing video games. Like, it wouldn't be like, oh, no, I didn't play a video game. Like, that wouldn't be the problem. I just don't know how that would go.
It would be like, I played this thing where you could kill everyone. I'd be like, I played 1,000 hours of Animal Crossing, so...
The hardest show to build an audience for. Yeah. To be a show for no one.
I mean, that's our thing, though.
I know. I love that idea. Actually, it's really good.
It's an excuse for us to talk to each other about video games.